You check the banking app in the bathroom at 11:38 at night. Not because you need to, because something in you wants proof. The number is fine, better than fine actually. Bills paid, mortgage current, money in savings. Maybe more money than the younger version of you ever imagined having. And somehow, your chest still tightens a little, like one bad month could still wreck everything. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're the kind of man who still feels guilty taking a weekend off. The kind who hears an unexpected knock at the door and immediately thinks, "What now?" The kind who can afford dinner without checking prices, and still checks anyway. I'm Hank, and I know that feeling, not because I read about it somewhere, because I've sat in dark kitchens staring at numbers that should have made me feel safe, and somehow didn't. Most people call this anxiety. Some call it negativity. But I think for a lot of men, it's older than that. The income changed. The nervous system didn't. And nobody really talks about what happens when a man escapes hard years financially. But part of him keeps living in them psychologically. Nobody talks about this either. Some men don't enjoy payday. Payday just resets the countdown. The check hits the account, and for about 20 seconds there's relief. Then the brain immediately starts assigning threats to the money. Mortgage, insurance, groceries, property taxes, the truck making that noise again, the slow season coming, the possibility that work dries up. The account goes up. The body starts preparing for impact anyway. I knew a guy named Ray, small business owner, smart with money, stable life, no real financial crisis happening. Every single night before bed, he checked 3 accounts in the exact same order. Checking, savings, business account, same order, every night. One evening, I finally asked him why he did it. He gave this little embarrassed laugh and said, "I just like knowing nothing bad happened while I wasn't looking." That sentence stuck with me, because he wasn't greedy. He wasn't obsessed with money. He was watching the door. That's what a lot of financial anxiety looks like in grown men. Quiet checking, quiet counting, quiet preparation. Most people see discipline. What they're actually seeing is a nervous system trying to calm itself down. A Federal Reserve survey found that financial stress remains high even among middle and upper income households, which means a lot of men who technically made it still go to bed bracing for something. The math changed. The alarm system stayed the same. Then there's this part. A man finally gets to the point where he can afford normal things. And spending still feels physically uncomfortable. Not luxury, normal things. Replacing tires early instead of waiting. Booking the decent hotel instead of the cheap one. Taking his wife somewhere nice for the weekend. Buying the better mattress because his back hurts every morning. And the second the purchase happens, something in him tightens. Could I have waited? Was that stupid? What if something happens next month? That's not cheapness. Cheapness is different. This is a man whose body learned that money leaving meant danger arriving. There's a term for this: loss aversion. Simple version. Losing money feels worse than gaining money feels good. But for men who grew up around unstable money, that feeling gets wired deep. I remember my father sitting at the kitchen table late at night with bills spread out in front of him. He barely said anything, just stared at the numbers with this exhausted look on his face, like he was trying to solve a problem bigger than arithmetic. Funny thing is, I don't remember the actual bills. I remember the silence. I remember how careful everybody suddenly became in the house. Kids don't understand budgets. They understand tension. And years later, those kids become grown men with decent incomes and paid off trucks and savings accounts. But their body still reacts to spending like the old danger is nearby. That's why some men can buy something completely reasonable and still feel guilty afterward. The math says they're safe. The body says, don't trust it. This is the part people misunderstand completely. Most men who obsess over money are not afraid of poverty as an abstract idea. They're afraid of returning to a specific feeling, back to checking the account before buying groceries, back to hearing parents whisper about bills in the next room, back to pretending the card machine was broken, back to knowing the family was one setback away from panic. That kind of memory stays in the body longer than people think. A man can own a house, have money invested, no debt besides the mortgage, and still feel a jolt in his chest when an unknown number calls at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Because somewhere deep down, unexpected still means bad news. I've seen men build entire lives trying to get far enough away from that feeling. They work longer than they need to, save harder than they probably have to, delay rest, delay enjoyment, keep saying, just one more year, just one more cushion, just one more account. And people around them say, relax, you're doing fine. But they don't understand something important. He's not trying to become rich anymore. He's trying to become unreachable by instability. Money, for him, is not freedom yet. It's protection. It's distance. Distance from a life that once felt fragile. Here's where it gets strange. When a man has lived with pressure long enough, calm can start feeling suspicious, like the quiet before something breaks. So even when life stabilizes, he keeps scanning. What bill did I forget? Why is business this good right now? How long before something goes wrong? That's not because he enjoys worrying. It's because problems used to arrive without warning. And after enough years like that, the brain starts treating vigilance like survival. This is why telling a man to just relax almost never works. Relaxed feels dangerous to him. Relaxed feels like taking your hands off the wheel. And a lot of men learned early that nobody else was going to steer. So they become the backup plan, the emergency fund, the responsible one, the guy who thinks about every possible outcome because life punished him before when he didn't. From the outside, that can look admirable. Inside, it gets exhausting because everybody sees the reliable man. Almost nobody sees the tired one. This is the cruel part nobody prepares you for. Sometimes making more money does not remove the fear. It gives the fear better furniture. Now there's a house to lose, a reputation, a business, a family depending on you. Employees maybe. Before, the fear came from having nothing. Now the fear comes from having something. And suddenly enough becomes impossible to locate. Because fear is bad at math. Fear does not say, you made it. Fear says, what if it disappears? That's why some men hit the number that they thought would finally make them relax. And nothing changes internally. The number moves. The tension stays. Because the fear was never fully about money. It was about safety. And safety feels very different to a nervous system that spent years waiting for bad news. Here's the part I keep coming back to. A lot of men were never trying to become rich. Not really. They were trying to become unreachable by the fear that raised them. Unreachable by shut-off notices, by overdraft fees, by hearing stress in their father's voice, by the embarrassment of not having enough. And maybe that's why the account balance never creates the feeling they thought it would. Because numbers can prove you have money, but they cannot automatically convince your body the danger is over. That's a different process entirely. And maybe once a man understands that, he stops judging himself so harshly for the checking, the worrying, the constant mental calculations. Because maybe he's not only managing money, maybe he's managing memory. And survival adaptations don't always know when survival is over. So tell me honestly in the comments, did making more money actually make you feel safer? Or did it just give you more to protect? I read more of these comments than you probably think. And if you want more videos like this, not motivation, not fake guru talk, just honest conversations about the psychology behind money, pressure, status, fear, and the lives men quietly carry around, subscribe. That's what this channel is.